Environmental effects of global warming. Explain how increasing carbon dioxide and methane in the atmosphere contributes to greenhouse effect, then global warming. Describe how an increase in the Earth's temperature may cause climate change and sea level rise. Assess the methods used to collect data and consider their validity as evidence for environmental change. The greenhouse effect. The Earth gains heat from the sun, and gases in the atmosphere absorb this heat. If they didn't, it would be lost in space. Carbon dioxide and methane keep the Earth's surface warmer than it would be without the greenhouse effect. If the amounts of carbon dioxide and methane increases will mean that heat is reflected back to the Earth's surface. This therefore makes the Earth warmer. This increased greenhouse effect is called global warming. There is evidence that some global warming is due to human activities. Climate change, modelling and distribution of species. Scientists use computer models to predict what will happen if warming continues. There are many factors, so there's disagreement about what will actually happen. Most people think that a rise of a few degrees C could change weather patterns. A few scientists think more research should be done into natural explanations. If the climate does continue to get warmer, what could happen is there could be more rainfall and more floods. There could be change where plants and animals could live. The place where a particular type of tree species in the northern hemisphere is found likely to shift north. And there could be extinctions and reduction in biodiversity as plants and animals fail to migrate or adapt. So Siberian tiger is currently on the brink of extinction. Swallows, house martins and cuckoos visit the UK and Northern Europe. They come to nest and reproduce in a cooler climate than in Africa. Geese and swans visit the UK in the winter. If the climate warms, all these birds will need to change their migration times and patterns in order to survive. Increasing temperatures are causing glaciers and polar ice caps to melt and release water into the oceans. Some scientists predict that this could result in a sea level rise of 80 metres. Millions of people live in areas that would be underwater in sea level if sea levels rose this much. An example of areas that could be flooded would be Bangladesh. Some scientists have planned using carbon storage or sequestration as a way of removing carbon dioxide. So several suggestions have been made for carbon storage in oceans, like depositing carbon dioxide on the ocean floor 3,000 metres deep, where carbon dioxide is denser than water. However, there's not enough scientific understanding to be sure that this would work. To find out about the climate before 1860, scientists have to rely on proxy records rather than direct measurements. For instance, the width of tree rings is related to temperature that year. Other techniques are used, including examining the time of crop harvests and historical records. Scientists can get reliable data on past temperatures by taking measurements from ice cores. As ice was formed, air bubbles were trapped in it, and scientists can analyse the air trapped in these bubbles and measure carbon dioxide in the atmosphere thousands of years ago. They can also estimate the temperature of the atmosphere when the bubbles were trapped. The recent report on climate change by the IPCC used the output from 18 computer models that produce a range of scenarios from climate change. Through the media and the public mind, these scenarios have become predictions. So now people think that this will happen and that the polar bears will become extinct and they won't have a habitat. But there are likely to be many factors that contribute to the climate warming, and it might not necessarily be just due to human activity. Some people think it might be happening because of natural causes. But the data at the moment, the scientists just don't know what is causing it, but it's thought that it might be human activities.